everybody, it's Melissa from the Arts and Literature Division at the Central Library, back with another craft video for you. Today I'm going to show you how to make these really cute air-dried clay eggs for the springtime. So let's get started. For this you're going to need the air-dried clay, which is right here. It does dry white, but this is what it looks like, so don't be alarmed if it's gray. You can get it in about a 2-pound package, which will give you enough to do about 4 or 5 eggs. You do want something to roll it out on, so a plastic cutting board, a piece of cardboard, something like that so you don't mess up your table. You are going to want something to roll it out with. This is just an inexpensive acrylic clay roller that I'm using. And then to decorate the egg itself, to make the impressions and things, I've got a couple of little screwdrivers and a little pair of tweezers here, but you can use anything you want to make impressions in these things. And then afterwards, we're going to be decorating the eggs. So you're going to need your choice of either acrylic paint and something to put it in, or you can use colored permanent Sharpie markers. Those both work on these things. If you use the paint, you will need paintbrushes and some water and paper towels. And you're also going to want a bamboo skewer with a sharp point. Okay, so first thing, this is about half of a 2-pound block of the clay. So go ahead and start rolling it out. You don't want it super thin, but you don't want it super thick, because this stuff does take at least 24 hours to dry. The thicker you have it when it's done, the longer it will take to dry. So just keep that in mind if you're making these. The thickness of mine are about 1/2 to 1/4 of an inch. And they did take about 24 hours. Also, a little tip, I was originally going to do these as plant stakes, and they don't work because I was an idiot and didn't make them thick enough to get the skewer all the way through. So if you want plant stakes, you want them a little thicker than I'm making them. So, but just roll it out like you would a piece of bread or cookie dough. Okay, so if you're making eggs like I am, which are more decorative, little things to put around, maybe a little bunny or a little bunny to hold or something like that, you want them about this thick. If you want to make them so that you can put them in your garden, so you want to run a skewer through them, you want them about 1/4 inch thicker than this. So you're going to need a larger piece of clay. Okay? Okay, so now you're going to take your knife and just cut a vague egg shape. Don't worry about being precise. There's one. Let's get 2. There we go. There we go. Okay. Then, just like doing cookie dough, slice right through. Oops. Now, if you have clay left over, you do want to keep it in an airtight plastic bag, sort of like what I've got over there. So, have that handy. And also, you see how I've got some little jagged bits here? Make sure you smooth those over, because otherwise they're going to dry and be very pointy. Don't want that. Okay. Oops. Okay. Use that for something else. Okay. Just smooth them out with your finger like this. I got a particularly jagged one here, so take your finger right side of your hand and just sort of get it to behave. So there's your eggs. These got a little too pointy. So I'm just gonna... The nice thing about clay is if you make it goofy look, if it's too pointy or something, just smack it. It's fine. So there's your 2 eggs. Now, if you are going to be making these into plan steaks, this is when you want to take your skewer. I'm not going to do this, but I'll show you. You want to take it and stick it in all the way, about at least halfway up. And you see how I made it a little too thin, like that, okay? And you want to leave that in for a little bit so that it will dry like that, okay? And then it will stand up like that once it's actually dry. So, now comes the fun part. We get to put patterns on these. So, take your pattern making tools, whatever they may be, and just kind of have fun. So, making impressions. Now, one thing, the lighter you press, if you just do that, it's not very noticeable. Okay? You want to push a little harder so you can get a nice deep indentation so that when you paint it or you use marker to color it, you have something to see. Okay, so you can do that. You take these guys, make a line like that if you want to. And if you go, oh, that looks horrible, just smush it out. Take it out. Never happened. What mistake? I didn't make a mistake. You want wavy lines. So if you're not sure if that tool is what you want to use or it's going to make the right impression, you can always take a little extra piece of clay that you've got left over and kind of play around with it too, like that. So when you're happy with it, go ahead and put it someplace safe to dry. You don't want a place that's too damp, and let it dry for 24 hours. And then come on back and I'll show you how to finish it. Welcome back. And here you can see the 2 eggs that I have that have dried. Again, as you can see, they dried nice and white. Okay, so, and now they're ready to be painted. So, I'm going to do one with paint, I'm going to do one with marker so you can see the difference. Okay, so if you are doing the painted ones, you're going to want a little bowl of water, some brushes, and some paper towels. Okay. So then again, when I was doing these, of course, I made nice deep impressions so I can fill them with paint. Nice bright little dots there. Like that. And again, you can paint these in any color scheme you like. Tell me what you've done. And so that's a very simple way to paint these guys. So there's one. And next is the permanent marker. So very similar. You can use it just like a paintbrush. So if you do have smaller children doing this, this might be a little bit better way to do it instead of the paint. So you can also go around like that if you wanted to. You could also totally do both acrylic paint and markers if you wanted. That'd be very cool. So, little tip though, if you are going to use permanent markers with these, when you're making your impressions with the clay, don't make them too deep. It does make it a little harder for you to get in. If you've done what I did here and you left yourself a nice big stripe that's empty, you can kind of have some fun and draw a little shape in. So if you're not quite sure what to put on your egg when you're doing impressions, make sure you leave yourself a little empty space so you can kind of draw in it. You could also leave the entire egg blank if you wanted to. Okay. And there's your one done with the permanent marker.